Okay, I'm back. Just going to continue trimming this up, and I'm going to do the other side here. Right. Once again, a rough file so to get the bastard out. Alright, just go down to the second cut. Alright, might just take that down a little bit more. Alright, back to the sanding block. So when I'm sanding this way, I'm just keeping it on a little bit of an angle away from that surface, as I don't want to sand against the grain. I want to go with the grain if I can. Okay, nearly done. And just be careful, you don't want to sand too much and expose the gap between the veneer there. Okay, that's good. Just do a little bit more over here. And this is the front edge again, where it's going to lip under the faceplate. So I'm just getting a nice smooth edge on that so it doesn't splinter. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so the top side here is looking quite good. Okay, just continuing on. Of course, it's pretty tempting to sort of rush it when you're getting towards the end, but yeah, don't do that, otherwise you'll make a mistake, and then you'll have a repair job on your hands, which always makes life a lot more complicated. So just take your time. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. There's no rough edges or any lifting veneer, and any little pieces that did lift, I simply just pushed it back down because the contact will still hold it in place until it dries properly. So that's pretty good now. So the next thing I have to do is cut out these little holes here where the mounting studs go, so I'll just pause the video for that. Okay. Normally I just get the little scalpel or artist's knife and just poke it from the other side, but that's a little deep because it's got these the wooden braces here. So I'm just using a very small Phillips. I'm just going to go to the centre of the hole and very carefully just poke it through with my finger on the other side because I don't want to lift the veneer. I just want to make a small break where the hole is going to be. So that's enough. So just poking through there like that. That's fine. And you'll find that the veneer will lift a little bit around there, but we can push that back down later. That's fine. So what you're going to do now is find the edge of the hole. So just very, very carefully with the tip of the knife, just go around little bit by little bit and just follow the edge of the hole around as best you can. Tiny little pieces at a time. Just hold the veneer in place where you feel it might be starting to lift, like that, and we'll be able to fix that up later. Just push that back down in there. And always try and cut across the grain where you can, to sort of minimise the splitting. Okay, so that's pretty much a round hole. What we're going to do now is just get a bit of sandpaper that's already rolled up. Like such. And this is just 320 grit, so not too harsh. And just very gently just go around the edge of the hole like that. Just be conscious of any veneer that is starting to lift and just kind of hold that in place. Just pop the rolled up sandpaper in the hole there and just rotate that around gently. There you go, and you get a fairly even hole there. Okay, so a little bit of the edge of the veneer on one side was starting to lift, so I put a little tiny bit of contact cement in the gaps, and I've just reclamped that edge, and I'll just leave that overnight just to settle down. The other edge seems fine, it's not lifting, but quite often you'll find you'll have to do little repair jobs like that along the way just to make sure it's all stable and it's not going to lift up. Once you're happy with everything and it's all coated in poly or wax or whatever you want, then it's going to be a lot more stable. Okay, I'm back again. So I've done 2 holes on here and just smoothed around the edges with a bit of rolled up sandpaper, and just made sure that the veneer is flush with the edge of the hole. So just take your time using the artist's scalpel and some sandpaper just to get that right. And by the way, the reclamping of that edge has made it nice and sturdy, so that's absolutely fine today. So I'm going to do the other 2 holes on this side. Once again, just poke through from behind, holding your finger over there so that you don't split the veneer, and just make a very small mark so that you can then go in with the knife from the other side. So there we are. Now, because of my old eyes, I use a magnifying glass, illuminated mag glass, so it just makes it a little bit easier for me. Kind of a delicate process. Just nibble away as best you can, trying to push downward so that you're not lifting the veneer up. So every stroke just cut down and trying to go against the grain where possible. If it does begin to lift, just hold it down whilst you're cutting. Okay, I'll just empty out. Okay, so that's basically fairly round hole there. I'm just going to go through and very gently just trim up the edges so the veneer is flush with the edge of that hole. And you can just do that by sight. There's no point in trying to get clever and using drill bits and whatnot. I've found that that's far too aggressive for something like this, and you'll end up just ruining the whole case. Okay, so I'll grab the sandpaper now. I'm just rolling that up nice and tight so that it's smaller than the hole. And once again, it's just the 320 grit, nothing aggressive. And what I'll do is I'll just go around like this to smooth the edges. Just do it very gently. You just want to make a little bit of a chamfer around the edges so that it doesn't catch, and it just looks a much neater job. You don't need much, that's about right. And then what I'll do is I'll get the whole roll of sandpaper, put it in there, let it expand out to the edges, and just twist that around so that you're just making it as smooth as possible, clean as possible inside. Little blowout. So that's not too bad, you know, that's good enough. On this particular model it actually has little metal collars that go in here, and they'll just push down in there. Whoops, I'll throw it away. They'll just push down in there like that, and then the mounting hardware will go through there. I won't push it down now because I want to do that after it's been treated with sealant. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the video there. You don't need to watch me do another one, and I'll be back. Okay, now that we've got all 4 holes cut out properly and smooth around the edges, we can start focusing on the rest of the unit and just using some 320 grit on the cork block. And we'll go with the grain. We'll just try and give it a nice smooth surface. We don't need to go too smooth at this stage. This particular one I'm going to coat in polyurethane. So I want that to be able to adhere. I'll probably do 2 or 3 coats of poly and lightly sand, very lightly sand in between each coat. I may even use 00 steel wool. I'll just play it by ear. Once again going with the grain. You don't have to have it looking absolutely immaculate at this stage. You'll find once you add the poly, a lot of these little blemishes like that will just disappear underneath it. So try not to be too much a perfectionist at the early stage, and just judge it as you apply each coat and treat it as you need to. This one I'm not going to stain because I want the natural the walnut to come through. That'll be a lot darker once we put the poly on. And what I like to do is make sure that these bottom edges are nice and flush, because that's where you're going to get veneer lifting, but the poly application will help to seal those edges anyway. You can, if you want, you can apply walnut veneer to the bottom if you want to be that fussy, but I really don't think it's necessary. The same as the rear as well. They didn't do that at the factory. I don't think it's necessary to do, but if you like to go over the top, as some people do, then you can put the veneer on the bottom edges and the back edges as well. Okay, so I'm pretty much happy with that, and I'm going to apply my first coat of poly. First I'm just going to blow this out with compressed air, so I'll just pause that. Hello again. Okay, this is the metal grill that I've removed from the top of the receiver cover. Normally these by Rotel are made out of aluminium, but this one's made out of steel. As you can see, it's got a bit of corrosion on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it in the sandblaster, blast that back to bare metal, and then I'm going to coat it in just some British paint, poly designed for metal. So I think it'll look good. The shiny metal along with the wood grain, I think will match up quite nicely. So I'll be back. Okay, after sandblasting, I've decided that clear coat wouldn't be appropriate. It doesn't come up as shiny as the aluminium ones, so I'm going to put it back to what it was before using satin black epoxy enamel. So I'll spray that separately. Okay, now for the poly coat. I've just picked this up from Bunnings, literally, so it's readily available. It's the Cabot's Cabothane Clear in satin, so it's a hard wearing durable polyurethane finish. So I'll just give that a spray with that, and I'll probably end up doing about 3 coats of it. Great, we've got a blockage already. Looks like I'm back to Bunnings. No need to return to Bunnings. A good little tip is just to remove the spray nozzle completely and spray it out with electronic cleaning solvent, the fast drying type. Just spray it in there and on there, and also in the nozzle there, and pop it back together and should be fine. There we go. Keep it well shaken up and just nice even strokes. You don't need to apply it too thick at this stage, just a thin coat is fine. In fact, it's all thin coats. And I'd like to make sure that the edges are also sealed well so they don't splinter. Alright, spray it upside down for a few seconds. Clean it out. I'll just give that another spray there. Beautiful. Oh, we'll let that one dry. Okay. It's been about an hour and this coat is touch dry, so that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and just do a second coat without sanding in between. And then I'll sand after this one's dry. I like to also lift this up and get up on the inside of the holes there, just to seal that a little better, and I'll do the same on the other side. And another blockage again, so I'll pause it. Actually, no, I will continue. Show you how I get rid of that blockage. Okay. Just getting all these inside edges as well so that they're nicely sealed. Now, so this doesn't block up again, I'll give it a clean afterwards. So hopefully it'll be fine for next time. I'll just leave that sitting there. Okay. Okay, the second coat of poly is now really dry. So I'm just going to get a piece of old 320 grit sandpaper and just go over it really lightly. Just following the grain again. Now you will be tempted to wipe that down with a cloth soaked in spirits or something, but I don't think that you should do that because you're going to end up putting lint from the cloth onto the surface here. So I'll just give it a little brush off with my hand, or you can blow it out with compressed air, but that's good enough for me to start the third and probably final coat. Might be one more after that. We'll just play it by ear. Okay, another coat done. Just clean the nozzle out again. Great. I'll just show you, I've put the black coating on the metal grill, and that's come up really well. So that's satin epoxy enamel, so it's nice and tough. And I'll just give that another few hours before I attempt to mount that in there. Obviously I need to wait until the case is dry anyway, but yeah, that'll look quite smart.